I really hope that I'm ready for this.
Do you really think you're powerful enough to take on all of heaven? You haven't even proven that you're the strongest in hell.
Can the angels come out to play?
Prepare the troops. We've faced impossible odds before. Together we can do it again.
Welcome back to the Nerdy Grail, and in today's video I've got a fairly interesting versus discussion whereby in this series I put two different things off against each other. It might be movies, it might be TV shows, it might even be video games. But in today's video I am going to be putting Season 1 of Hazbin Hotel up against Season 2 of Hazbin Hotel, now that we've got two full seasons of the show out, to decide which one is better, at least in my personal opinion. Now I'm going to split this into multiple different categories. So in the first category, we're going to be comparing the plot lines and story of Season 1 and Season 2, and I'm going to determine which one I personally enjoyed more and which one I think was done better. Then the next category we are going to do is we're going to have a look at the songs and soundtracks of Hazbin Hotel Season 1 and Season 2, and I'm going to see which one I think benefited the show more or was better in my personal opinion. The third category we're going to look at is the characters, so how the characters were in Season 1 and how the characters are in Season 2, and whether I thought the characters in Season 1 were better than Season 2 or vice versa. And then to sum it all up in the last category, I'm going to give you a little bit of my personal preference. So while watching the series, which one did I enjoy watching more or which one did I enjoy watching less? And then we're going to come together and I'm going to tell you which one out of Season 1 and Season 2 I personally think was better. So let's get straight into this to determine which season of Hazbin Hotel is better, and let's start with the plot and story of Season 1 and Season 2 of Hazbin Hotel. In this opening section of the video, we're going to be talking about the story and plot from Hazbin Hotel Season 1 and Season 2. So let's start with Season 1 of Hazbin Hotel, which I think is a fairly solid premise for a show. You know, you've got Charlie Morningstar, who runs this hotel for sinners, who the whole point is she's trying to redeem them, so because she believes that sinners can be redeemed, they should be given a second chance, you know, in order to go up to heaven and live a happier life than being stuck down in hell, tormented for all eternity, which I think is quite an interesting premise for the show. And I remember watching the trailers when they came back years and years ago. Thought it was a bit of an odd thing, but also a bit of fun. I think it was the dark nature mixed with the really funny comedy with all the swearing, with the animation really baffled me. But yeah, the whole plot of Season 1 is you have got Charlie running the hotel alongside Alistair, Vaggie, Husk, Angel Dust, you know, all the main crew, Nifty, and they are basically running this hotel in order to get sinners redeemed. Meanwhile, up in heaven, which is run by Adam, who is played by the amazing Alex Brightman, and characters like Adam and Sarah and Emily. You know, the angels are coming down and doing these mass exterminations where they're wiping out sinners, you know, to reduce the population. And basically Charlie goes for a meeting with Adam and accidentally causes the extermination timeline to get shrunk down in half. And so she now has less time to prove that the Hazbin Hotel works and try and find a way of defending hell from the angel invasion. And that is basically the whole premise of the show that goes on throughout the series. There's little other plot lines here and there, like you get to learn about some of the lives of some of our other characters, like you learn about the V's, and you know the Angel Dust, one of the people who's in the hotel, works for Valentino, who's my favourite of the V's. You know, works in the porn industry. You've got Husk, who you learn is tied with Alistair. Alistair being this radio demon that vanished years and years ago, magically came back, and now is, you know, helping out at the hotel for whatever particular reason that might be. We're not sure. You learn about some of his rivalries. I'll talk about all that in the characters section. But as you go through the series, you get to go back and forth. You see elements from hell. You've got a couple of episodes up in heaven where Charlie goes up to plead her case. And then in the end, in the grand finale, heaven does end up invading and hell has to defend themselves against the onslaught that heaven has. And the series ends with the radio demon Alistair vanishing and then coming back. You know, the Serpentius has it's unfortunately who's one of the characters who was introduced half through the series, ends up getting killed, and so they mourn him. But there is like this grand reopening of the hotel at the end, and they do end up winning and defending themselves against the onslaught from heaven. So, you have a point A where, we learn there's a hotel, heaven is coming to attack, and so the hotel is there to try and prevent that from happening. And if she can prove that the hotel works, then maybe they won't do the onslaught. They're defending themselves and preparing for war all through the series, and then in the last episode, war happens. So you got a point A, you got a point B, a good start and a good finish, and that is a premise that I can get behind, and it was a fairly solid one and consistent throughout the series, with, like I said, all the other characters teetering on in the middle. So then moving on to season 2, we then follow on from that premise, but obviously we've got a lot more going on. We know now that the V's have stepped up to the plate now. The V's are wanting to control all of hell and all of heaven. Vox wants to try and take command, seeing that there's an opportunity for that now after seeing Alistair on screen be weakened, who's like his arch rival from the past. And you see that the V's want to try and tackle hell and conquer heaven. Meanwhile, Lut, one of the angels, one of the army people from heaven, after the loss of Adam at the end of season 1, now wants to seek revenge. So you've got two sides that want to seek revenge on hell, and it's all about this big rise to power, hell teaming up in order to take on heaven. Meanwhile, Charlie is, losing the plot, but she is trying to prove that her hotel does work. She's trying to prove that she's not crazy, and that she learns early on that Sir Pentious, who died at the end of the first season, actually made it to heaven. And so she's trying to prove someone was redeemed, my hotel works, so we shouldn't go to war with heaven. And Vox, who is trying to say that the hotel's a sham, is a liar, don't believe him. And that's what happens all through the series. Vox gradually gains power, he gradually gains followers, the V's slowly gain Hell's side and turn everyone against heaven, turn everyone against Charlie. And then all the while you've got obviously all our other characters who are going through their own little turmoil. You get to learn more lore about characters like Alistair. They introduce new characters like Baxter and Abel, who is the son of Adam. So that's really good. You get deeper relationships between characters that were more side characters last time, like Cherry Bomb. So that's really nice. It all culminates in this ultimate weapon being built using Lucifer's power, who's Charlie's father, who doesn't play a massive role in either season, but he's pretty good overall. But they use this massive ultimate weapon in order to try and attack heaven. Obviously, the plan goes a bit wrong, and unfortunately for Vox, he ends up losing all of his following, and heaven is saved, hell is saved and united, and by the end of the season, it seems that the hotel is stronger than ever, because now it's been proved that the hotel actually works, with Sir Pentious at the end revealing himself that he was in fact redeemed. So all's well and good. But in between, we learn that our main character Charlie has obviously both daddy and mummy issues, and however, daddy has appeared a couple of times throughout the series, but we've never really heard from mum. But the series ends with a phone call from mum. So we're going to see what happens with Lilith, hopefully, in season 3. But yeah, so that is the basic plot of season 2. So if I'm to sum it up and say which one I think is better out of the plot for season 1 and the plot for season 2, this is actually going to surprise some people, but remember, keep in mind, this is just the first section of the video. I actually prefer the plot of season 1 over season 2. I like the fact that the V's are coming up, and I like the fact that Heaven wants revenge as well, through Lut. But the problem is they were very set up for future stuff. Like, Viv's even admitted that Lut is like a sleeper villain, and her stuff's not going to take place for another season or 2. And then the stuff with the Vox stuff felt a bit all over the place at times. It's good and entertaining, but I think for a coherent story that you can follow from start to finish, season 1, I think, has it better. So for me, in terms of story, I think I've got to give the first point to season 1. We're talking about the songs from Hazbin Hotel season 1 and season 2. Now, I have done a song ranking for season 2 and one for season 1 ages ago, so you can check out my separate videos of those. But here I'm going to talk about the songs in general and whether I think they are good or not, and whether they benefit the series or not. So let's start with season 1 for Hazbin Hotel. Season 1 from Hazbin Hotel has some fantastic songs, and can I just say right now that both season songs are absolute bangers. They are absolutely amazing. But in particular, some standout songs for me for season 1 of Hazbin Hotel without shadow of a doubt, has to go to Poison, which is a fantastic song that showcases Angel Dust and how Angel is tormented through his job at the porn studio under Val, and how he can never really escape that cycle, because we learn that Angel is under contract with Valentino, and so, you know, his job and everything is a bit like poison that he can't escape from and he can't help but taking, and he's got no choice but to take it. It's a fantastic song, very graphic if you're watching it on visually, but the lyrics are really, really good. It's really catchy beat, and I think it's a fantastic song. My favourite song of all time, though, is definitely Loser Baby, which is a duet between my favourite character, Husk, and Angel Dust from the same episode, episode 4, Masquerade, whereby basically, you know, Angel's down on his luck. You know, he's depressed, he's sad, he wants to be free from the chains of Val. Husk is basically there to comfort him, and they do it through a song where Husk basically admits, look, I'm similar to you, we're both losers, but we can be losers together. And I think that is a fun song that I adore. That's not the only good songs in the season, though. I Love Hell Is Forever from episode 1, sung mostly by Adam. Think it is absolutely fantastic, and Alex Brightman does a fantastic job with that there. Respectless, which is sung by Velvet, is another absolute banger. I love that song to pieces as well. Stayed Gone, the duet between Vox and Alistair, where you first get to see the proper rivalry between the two. You know, Vox using all the TV screens, and then Alistair singing it radio style, I think is really, really good. And the visual aspect of it as well is top class. There's some great songs in season 1, but they are the standout ones for me that I think really benefit the show and, you know, really give detail to the characters themselves. And then moving on into season 2, which again has a fantastic soundtrack as well. I think some standout songs for me, and songs have changed a lot in terms of my opinion of them throughout the series. I think Hazbin Guarantee, the opening song, where you get to see both from the hotel side of things and from the V side of things, so from the heroes and villains perspective, I think is great. Gravity, one of the first songs I reacted to for season 2, is really, really good. Loot and Adam, Loot basically mourning Adam and showing that she wants revenge and she's gonna, you know, take on Charlie and everyone else. I think it's really, really good visual storytelling there. Other songs I love, Vox Populi has grown on me. There's so many. Don't You Forget, both versions, but in particular the reprise version where Alistair is under Vox's power because Alistair made a deal with Vox and so he's now his prisoner. I think that's done fantastically, really well. Brighter is another amazing song told through Vox, told through his story to show what his life was like as a human before he died from a TV falling on his head and got sent to hell. Absolutely amazing. That's a great one as well. Hear My Hope, the final song where everyone comes together singing, you know, the V's, Alistair, Rosie, the hotel crew, the other overlords. It's done superb, and the storytelling through the songs I think is really, really good. So if I'm honest, if I'm to compare the songs from season 1 and season 2, I think for me there's a lot more good bangers in season 2 that is better visually storytelling wise than season 1. And there was a lot of songs in season 1 that I thought wasn't as good. You know, like Out for Love. I know some people like that one. It wasn't a good one for me. Welcome to Heaven wasn't huge on that one. Wasn't really huge. I mean, I like bits of it, but I'm not huge on It Starts With Sorry. It's an okay song, don't get me wrong, but I'm not massive on that one. Whereas there's not too many songs in season 2, really, that I'm not a fan of. You know, like the Speed Run to Redemption's not really a great song for me, and Sarah's Confession are some that pop to mind. But, you know, Love From a Bottle, one of my favourite songs, I think, of Hazbin Hotel, a Husk song going over his time. You know, he's down on his luck, a bit like Angel, and he goes back to his old stomping grounds and confesses, you know, obviously what he used to love to do, to gamble, to drink, and I think it is brilliant. Like I said, great visual storytelling. So if I'm being honest, I think the winner for round 2, in terms of the songs, I think I'm going to give the point to Hazbin Hotel, Season 2, making it 1-1. And the final core section of this discussion is I'm going to be talking about the characters from Hazbin Hotel Season 1 and 2 and comparing them in my personal opinion. So starting with Season 1, obviously you've got all the core hotel guests. You've got Charlie, you've got Vaggie, you've got Nifty, you've got Husk, you've got Angel Dust, you've got Alistair. You know, they're your core characters, and Serpentius, who joins then an episode or two in, who become your core team of people at the hotel. You've got a couple of stop-start characters who pop in from time to time, like Cherry Bomb, but Cherry Bomb comes a lot more prevalent in season 2. And then you've got your other characters, like the V's, like Vox, Velvet, and Valentino, who aren't really a big thing in season 1. I think maybe Valentino is the bigger of the 3 V's in season 1 in terms of what he does, whereas obviously in season 2 all of them are big billing, especially Vox. You know, obviously you've got Alistair, everything that goes on with him. You've got characters like Rosie. You've got big preface on characters up in heaven, like I said, with Lute and Sarah and Emily and Peter. And obviously Adam in particular is like your big bad antagonist technically, because he's the one who's going to come down and help lead, you know, the execution of all the sinners down in hell. So, you know, you've got a nice crew core of characters to work with here. And I think setting up their personalities is done really, really well. Like, you get to see that Charlie is this happy-go-lucky person who really feels out of place in hell. You've got Vaggie, the supporting girlfriend, whose relationship they do build on a lot in season 1, who wants to help her but hides a deadly secret that might tip them over the edge, that she was a fallen angel. You've got Nifty, the little crazy maid cleaner. You've got Alistair, who's got a secret past. He's helping the hotel, but has he got an ulterior motive? And you really get to see that through the series as he's sneaking around. You know, you've got Husk, who you can tell is the bartender, but he's really unwilling to be there, because at the start of the series, he's very grumpy. He doesn't care. You've got Angel, who's sort of just there mostly to escape from Valentino, but has to, you know, mix his life from the hotel to go into the porn studio, and you can see how that really messes with his head. And that's why episode 4 is my favourite episode from season 1, because you really get to see inside Angel's head and what he's coping and what he's trying to go through. And it's really nice that Charlie tries to help him out, and in particular, Husk tries to help him out, and that's where their relationship starts to build. You know, you've got the V's, like Vox, you can tell he's got a history with Alistair, but they haven't really delved deep into that yet. Velvet, you can tell that she's a social media-esque character who's, you know, really into fashion, but she's sort of like a bit of she's almost the backbone of the V's, realistically. And then you got Valentino, who's a bit like a stroppy kid who, you know, if he doesn't get his own way, he's going to throw a tantrum, which is why early on in the series, Vox has to, like, calm him down. You know, Adam, I think, is hilarious. He is a hilarious character, and I wish he was in season 2 more through, like, hallucinations and stuff through Lute, because obviously he's not in season 2 because he dies at the end of season 1. But Alex Brightman does a great job. You know, I think he's just very charismatic. He's very sinister, but he's very snarky and all as well. He's manipulative. He's just a funny character, and I love it. Characters like Emily and Sarah, they're nice characters. They're better in season 2, but they're a bit bland and boring in season 1, if I'm perfectly honest. Serpentius is an absolute treat. And I love how he builds a proper rapport and relationship with everyone in the hotel who don't trust him to start, and they have reason to, because he's there as a spy at the start, and so he builds a bond with all the hotel staff, and in particular you get to see a rivalry build with Cherry Bomb, who he delves a bit of a relationship with, and that's really developed then in season 2. But yeah, I love all the characters in season 1. Lucifer, when he comes in halfway through the series, getting to see Charlie's dad. Him, how he's, you know, you think of Lucifer and they build him up as this big, big bad of hell, but really he's just a funny little guy, and he's a really, really nice character. And I love Lucifer a lot. I really wish he was in the series more. Then moving over into season 2, you know, that they just further the relationship, and they further the in-depth character development for a lot of characters, like Alistair, where you get to learn the backstory of Alistair, see him as a human. You get the same with Vox, who's the new big bad, and you really get to see the different layers of Vox, how he treats his own crew, his own staff. Charlie, Alistair, you really get to see his vulnerabilities, and I think that is fantastic. You get to see how he annoys his crew, like Velvet and Valentino, who end up having enough at him by the end. You know, you get to see Husk and Angel Dust's relationship proper blossom into one where the only reason they're sticking around in the hotel is because of each other. The only reason that Husk tries to go back to the hotel, even when Alistair's gone, is because he thinks Angel's going to be there. And when Angel's not there, he really struggles. I love they build the relationship more, like I said, between Serpentius and Cherry Bomb, even though they're separated because one's in hell and one's in heaven. I just think it's done really well. They really incorporate the new characters, like Baxter becomes one of the proper crew, and I think he's really good, and he's going to be great, I think, going forward in season 3. You get to see his relationship with characters, you get to see his backstory with Serpentius. And I just think it's great. And he's got a good bond with Nifty, who gets a lot of development herself as well. Cherry Bomb gets an awful lot more to do. We get to see more from Rosie, who was just this fleeting character in season 1, but actually she's the backbone of everything that Alistair comes to be in season 2. So I think that's done really well. We get to see payoffs in season 2 that was set up in season 1, like Alistair's deal with Charlie, which I think that was really, really good as well. You know, I just think overall the characters in both season 1 and season 2 are done fantastic in different ways, if I'm perfectly honest. They're set up really solidly in season 1, and they are furthered even better than in season 2. So if I'm honest, it's actually really hard to tell which one wins. So if I'm honest, I'm going to call it a draw here, and so that makes the score at the moment 2-2 going in to the last round. So coming into this final section, which is more of a personal preference section, the scores at the moment are 2-2. 2 points to Hazbin Hotel Season 1 and 2 points to Hazbin Hotel Season 2. And I think that's quite fair, because to be fair, Viv's has like proper made a solid set of seasons here. Sure, some people prefer season 1, some people prefer season 2, some people have, you know, given their criticisms of season 2. You know, they've complained about certain plot lines not being sewn up, or some characters being more thrown away. I get the criticisms, and you're right to have those criticisms. No series or TV show is perfect. Even my favourite TV show of all time, Doctor Who, is far from perfect. But, you know, I just personally thoroughly have enjoyed both seasons. You know, there's been some highs, there's been some lows, there's been some mixed bags, there's been some stunners. You know, like I said, from the characters to the plots to the episodes to the songs themselves. Visually, though, I think we can all agree the show is really good and is definitely on the incline there. But I think overall, if I had to choose between season 1 and season 2 in terms of what I've gone back to rewatch, the songs that I listen to on a daily basis since the finale of season 2, and just, yeah, my overall enjoyment when sat down and watching the seasons in total, do I prefer season 1 or do I prefer season 2? It's really tough to call. It has been a very difficult decision to make, because I think season 1 is absolutely fantastic, and I've never laughed as hard as I have when I first watched season 1. My fiance knows all about that, especially with Serpentious and Cherry Bomb. I think they are fantastic, but then I think I have to potentially give the winner of this whole thing, if I'm honest, to Hazbin Hotel Season 2. I think Hazbin Hotel Season 2 just about steals it for me to be slightly better than Hazbin Hotel Season 1, and that is what we kind of hoped, that they were going to set a solid foundation and build upon that, and I think they've done that, and I hope they're going to nail it out the park in Season 3. But yeah, I think for me, personally, the winner of this versus between Hazbin Hotel Season 1 and Hazbin Hotel Season 2 goes to Hazbin Hotel Season 2, and yeah, I think it's thoroughly deserved. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please like it by giving it a thumbs up and comment down below which season of Hazbin Hotel do you prefer, Season 1 or Season 2? And subscribe if you are new. But for now, this is Nitty Grail signing off. I hope you've had an amazing day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now, everyone.